welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. If you guys remember a few videos back, I made these. I called these my Forest Witch Apothecary pendants or medallions, and I absolutely fell in love with the way these looked. I said in that video I would love to try making something along these lines, but on a much bigger, grander scale, chucking a lot more in. I'm going to be using this mold, and guys, this is my final Halloween video of 2025. I just want to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you who've shown me support throughout this, and I hope you join me very soon for Christmas 2025. Okay, so let's get back to this video. I'm going to be using the large round druzy edge tray from Molds and Shapes. It is a beauty. The 10% link of course will be down below, but of course this video is not going to be an apothecary forest witch without this mold. I'm going to be using moss, keys, apothecary bottles. I'm going to be using cut broken glass. I'm also going to be using gold foil, but first up we need to make these bottles. Now this is the Thinner Bear potion bottle mold, and I'm going to make every single one of these bottles because I've got a much larger mold to be working with. I'm also using this moss. This is from Baker Ross here in the UK, and let's not forget those keys. I don't know why keys work so beautifully in a project like this, but I ordered a huge bag off of Amazon. Now here's the thing, what I'm about to show you does not get used in today's video, but at the time, it was the plan to use these. I bought tons of foils and stickers from Shein, and these arrived after a month, and I did want to use these in today's video, but I found something better, something I completely forgot I had and was on my list. But these are beautiful. This is just to show you what you can get from Shein in the way of Halloween, witchy, spooky, haunted style stickers. These would have worked absolutely perfect if I was going down a more darker, moodier route, but we're going forest witch with all of the greens and earthy tones, and we're going to bring it all out, followed by a stunning little something that I had to one side and I completely forgot I had. So the colors I'm using for the bottles are all going to tie in together. I'm using a combination of the Let's Resin Intense Chameleons and the normal Let's Resin Chameleons. These shades are everything. They are a bit of me, and they are absolutely forest witch, earthy, moody, grungy inspired. Mostly browns, greens, and a little bit of that plum. Of course, that plum, oh, star of the show when it comes to a witchy color. I'm just really not paying too much attention to where the colors go. I'm just putting a little bit of each color into each of the cavities of this mold. And again, this is the Thinner Bear mold. Now I can't currently find it on Amazon. I don't actually remember where I bought it from. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Amazon, but it did cost about £25. They are not cheap molds, but in my eyes, fully worth it. Now, for the bottles, I'm going to be using the black polyurethane. I bought these again myself with the support of my patrons who are forever supporting me. Thank you so much, guys. This is the black polyurethane. If you've been throughout my Halloween season, you'll know what it is. It is a super fast setting polyurethane. It's not epoxy resin. It literally sets within 30 to 40 minutes to be able to demold these bottles. Now, I could have made these with epoxy resin, and you can too. If you don't have a polyurethane and you're not interested in the poly, then just go ahead, make your bottles from epoxy resin. You could even get a fast cure epoxy resin so that you can demold these just after a few hours and put them into your main tray. But for me, yeah, I just went with the poly because I was thinking speed at this point. I knew this project would take a few days, so speed was key. I started off neat, as I always do. I tried to do the right thing, guys, but this mold gets the better of you when you're using polyurethane because it sets so fast. You don't have time to get neat when it comes to the smaller bottles. So by the time I hit the smaller bottles, I was like, just get it in there, just chuck it in. And if it means having to scrape the mold afterwards, which I often do, then so be it. Now, I did make a little bit too much. Shock, horror, newsflash. I mean, when do I ever make the right amount? It's a very rare fluke that I get the right amount. But I do have this mold, you guys remember from my Halloween series. This is the perfume bottle mold. It is a Stamperia mold. It's absolutely beautiful. So, you know, the extras are just going into this mold just to make some extras. I'm not using them in this video, although they would have worked really well. Bit too big for what I was looking for. I'm going for a miniature vibe. These will just go into my stash until next year, when I might do something with them next year. Can't believe it. I can't believe we're at the end of the Halloween series. Okay, so yeah, the last of that polyurethane going into the perfume bottle mold. You won't see these again, but just know I do use every drop. 30 minutes later, it's time to demold now, because I made such a mess by scraping that polyurethane over the surface. I'm trying to crack them apart before I demold. Now, each and every one of these do need a little bit of a clean up, because again, the mess, but so easily done. Those spill off edges are paper thin, flaky bits of polyurethane that simply just break off when I go to do that. So whilst demolding them is super fast, I love the colours. Oh my gosh, I love the colours. I love them. They're so earthy and rustic and just everything you want your forest apothecary witch to have to hand. This one here had all the colours in, and oh my gosh, I was obsessed. Once I've done this, really easy to demold. I then just spend a little bit of time working around each and every bottle. I won't show you that, but I'll just show you here how easy it is just to flake it off using my nails. Just literally flake it all off. Neaten them all up to the point where they're all as good as gold. They've got no spill off and they are ready to go. Now at this point, I did decide just to put a little bit of the embellishing wax on a few of them. This is optional. It was really just to change a few of them up a bit, make them different to the others. And some of these bottles do have some beautiful embossed lettering and wording on, so just to highlight those and bring them to life a little bit. Again, totally optional. It's just I saw the wax sitting there and thought, why not? Because we can. Now guys, let's talk about this. This is the stunning sticker from Amanda Towgood at Resin Supplies Den here on Facebook. This is a UVDTF sticker. Now, I had these specifically made for me, custom made to fit the molds and shapes around coasters, because that was on my original video list of ideas and I just never got around to it. But I can't let these beautiful stickers go until next year. I definitely have to use one, and that is when I decided to ditch the sticker book from Shein and use the UVDTF sticker from Amanda Towgood at Resin Supplies Den. So of course I'll link her down below so you guys can go over there. She does UVDTF stickers, but the best part about getting them made right here in the UK with Amanda is that you can just get them customized to the size of the mold, what you need, the shape, all of the things. Whereas if you buy them, we all know, right? We can buy UVDTF stickers off of Shein, AliExpress, Amazon. We can buy them, but we can't customize them through that method. Whereas Amanda, you tell her you want a 10 by 10, she'll do you a 10 by 10. So yeah, absolutely ideal for the center of this tray. Now, the resin I'm using in today's video is the Apex resin. I will link that down below as well with your discount code. Guys, everything's linked below. I don't want to keep on saying it. You guys know my description box is absolutely full. Now, first up, we're going with these crystal clear mirror reflective cut glass around that edge, just to give it a little something something. Now, the moss we're using, like I said, it's dried real moss, and I'm going to add some gold foil to that. I've not used any foil for quite a long time. So in with that moss, I just thought that gold would just elevate the moss and just make it a little bit more fairy-like, a little bit more foresty and magical. And I am cutting my moss into teeny tiny slivers. This moss is great, but it does come a little bit chunky in areas. There are quite like thick twigs that you just have to make sure aren't protruding through the surface of your mold once you've done. Now, as it said on screen, I could have put more moss in. I absolutely had the space to put more moss in this project, and you'll see that at the end. It's absolutely stunning, but could I have put more in? Yes, Absolutely, I could have. So at the moment, we're just going to lay down those bottles before we put the moss. We want the moss to be on the background, not in the foreground. So next up, we're just gonna fill the rest of this mold up with some clear resin. We're going to lay down all of those apothecary bottles and we're going to layer that up with some keys. The keys are going in front of and behind the apothecary bottles. Now I have sped this section up for you because again, real time, it's quite a slog. It's quite a meaningful. I did take my time on this, like positioning them, putting most of the bigger bottles towards the bottom and most of the smaller itty bitty tiny little cute bottles to the top. I didn't actually use every single bottle that I made, but I did use the majority. I felt like I wanted to pack it all in, but once I packed it in, I thought that's enough. I can't possibly fit any more in here. So that is why I stopped and I just didn't use the rest. Now we're going in with the keys. These are gold keys for crafting. That's what I typed into Amazon. I will leave them linked below. They are absolutely perfect for everything. Like imagine Alice in Wonderland themed. Imagine Valentine's, key to my heart, and of course, steampunk. I originally bought these keys when I did a steampunk series a few years ago now. I can't believe where the time is going. But these are just perfect. They just work with the forest apothecary witch aesthetic. Don't know why, but they just do. They just do. They're also going to really work well with that gold foil that I've put in the moss. And the keys, I'm not paying too much mind to where they go. I'm literally just putting them in any gaps, any spaces, small ones, big ones. I'm even putting some down into the sides of the mold. Like it says on screen, trust the mess, trust the process, and I am chucking them all in. Now, what you do need to be careful of is that these bottles are not going to be too tall for your mold, right? I have got a generous amount of depth in this mold, but if I put a key underneath the bottles, then that takes even more from the depth. So I did have to move things around a bit to make sure that those bottles weren't just going to be totally protruding around the surface. Now at this point I thought, right, we've got the keys, we've got the bottles, we can afford to put in some more of this mirror cut glass, because again, that's just going to add to this gorgeous whimsical guys. And there my words went away. This reflective, magical, witchy vibe is what I was thinking. Now it's time to put in our moss and foil mix, and I am just pouring these straight over the bottles. And yes, pesto. It absolutely gave me pesto vibes. It's the first time I've ever made something where I immediately thought of pesto. Like everyone else, can you see the pesto? So yeah, just layering it quite thickly over those bottles. What I don't want is to hide the bottles. I don't want that moss being able to get under the bottles, so I'm just making sure that I'm pouring it directly down on top. Now you can see I am intentionally leaving that center clear, because of course that's where the witch UVDTF sticker is going to go. If anything does work its way into the center, I'm just going to kind of try and drag it back out a bit. Equally, I do want some visual detail in front of the witch as well. So in front of the witch, I did lift the sticker up and just slip a key under there. I also shoved a little bit of moss under there as well, just so that, you know, I've laid her straight in, but I don't want her to look like really crisp. I don't want the edges to be seen. I want to make her look like she's organically in the middle of the forest and not that she is a fully circular sticker. I hope that makes sense. So just disguising those edges with a bit more moss and some keys really does do the trick. And I've not peeled her. She is a sticker, but I've not peeled her at all. I did, however, take off the protective top layer. I didn't take off the backing, which is the sticky section. Now on the back of the witch, I'm just adding in a little bit more of that moss so that her background ties in with her surroundings. Oh, excuse me. Just getting rid of any big clumps. Now I did spend some time here pressing everything down, making sure that I haven't got some severe sticky outy bits, you know, coming through the base of the mold. Now this is the Apex resin, and around about 4 hours later, the resin is still really, really sticky to touch, but it's solidified enough to be able to handle the base coat without the base coat interfering with that first coat, right? So at this point, I'm happy I can go in with exactly the same green. I am replicating those medallions just on a much bigger scale. So I wanted that green. I love that green. I love the way that green brought everything in the foreground to life. And it is the fruit green. I think that's what it was called, guys. I showed it on the screen. Fruit green by Estoyo. I do have a huge box of Estoyo powders and I can't fit much more in because this mold is now absolutely full up. So I'm just using my wooden lollipop stick to distribute that resin all around the surface. Have I used bigger words in this video? I feel like I have. At this point, I know this is going to need sanding because you guys can clearly see some of that moss is well and truly sticking up and protruding through the base of the tray. But that's absolutely fine. I've got my sanding machine now, so I no longer dread sanding, which is such a reward. The best thing to come out of 2020. This is 24 hours later. And wow, those big sticky outy mossy bits are so visible. But guys, I hope you love it as much as me. Oh, it's so magical. I can hear the music of the forest right now. That witchy vibe, the bottles, the keys, the moss. Like I think you'll agree with me that it could have actually done with more moss. As it is, I love the moss. I love that it's very, very earthy. I just love everything about this. I love the reflective mirror cut glass. I love the keys. I love the gold foil. I really love the big keys that I put down the edges of that druzy edge. Now this will need a top coat. You can already see the imperfections in the top coat because I poured this tray pretty much all in one go, which means the keys sank, the bottles made dents, so everything was touching the silicone, hence there's a bit of a rippled surface, but that's absolutely fine. We've got room for a top coat, but magical, absolutely magical. I know this result is probably going to divide some people. It's either going to be you absolutely love it like I do, or it's not really your cup of tea. But either way, I'm obsessed. In a way as well, I wish I put a key in her hand because her hand is right there. And if I'd have seen it, like really studied it and focused on it, she could have been holding a key. Like, I'm sorry. Or a bottle. That would have made her look maybe not so, yeah. Anyway, I could have put a key in her hand or a giant bottle of whiskey. Either way, I love it. I love the foil. The gold foil mixed in with the moss is beautiful. Right up my street. So happy I took that decision. The sticker itself ties in really nicely and the edge is somewhat disguised. I think I could have done a better job disguising that edge. Bottom left looks really, you know, neat. Clear cut circle. But I love the leaves on the sticker as well. There's lots of ivy running around that edge. Look at this giant key in the edge. I just think it's so lovely. So me. I'm so proud of this piece. I think, you know, taking that smaller medallion and making a bigger version of it, I think that has absolutely been a success. I fit the brief and some. Now it's time to sand the back. I won't take you through every single step of this because I'm sure you guys are bored of sanding by now. Like, I'm spraying the whole surface with water. And honestly, this video is not sponsored by Let's Resin and it is not sponsored by their sanding machine, but now that I have the sanding machine, it really is helping me out so much. It makes light work of reducing this base, and again those really sharp sticky outy sections of moss that protruded through the surface. It takes seconds to sand them down and give me a beautiful flat coat. Now, here's the thing. This does create a lot of splash. I've used a lot of water on here. You always have to make sure you use water so that you're not spreading resin dust. That's the one thing you don't want. But what I am doing is spreading like this murky, muddy water. So I think in the future, what I might do is designate a big plastic container to the sanding process, right? Because you can see it's splashing out to the sides on my, and I mean, it's just a wet wipe, right? all I have to do is wipe the surfaces down. But if I had this in a big plastic container, then that big, huge splash out would just be contained in that container. So that's a tip for the future. Once I'd finished sanding and it was completely smooth, I wiped the surface off, dried the surface off, and then I added my cork stickers to the background. And of course, I'm adding one into the center to take anything that might be placed on the tray. And oh, guys, I absolutely love her. She is up there as one of my favorite pieces of Halloween 2025. She does need a top coat, so I threw the resin into the Let's Resin bubble removing machine and got that as crystal clear as I possibly could, using the heat gun as well as to move it around and get rid of any excess air bubbles. But she absolutely needed this top coat. I don't think I would have been happy if she didn't get the top coat, because you could see all of the imperfections in the surface where all of those things that I'd thrown in, like the glass cut trays and the bottles, had all touched the mold, come through the surface. So top coats are imperative. Totally worth every single second I spent on this tray. This is what she was looking like after the top coat. So happy, but we do need to protect that. So I'm putting one of my microwave covers that I do not use in the microwave anymore. I'm putting that over her to make sure that no debris gets in. And what a perfect top coat. Like, absolute perfection. I love her. I'm inspired by her. I think she is a beauty. Let me know what else you would have put in this tray to make it even more forest witch apothecary, because my goodness me, I just feel like there's so much out there that my brain isn't thinking about that could have gone in. This is her up against my beautiful dead hedge in my garden, but it works because I love her so much. Oh, guys, thank you all so much for all of your support on my Halloween season. I hope this one has inspired you as well. All of the details will be down below. Please join me for my Christmas 2025 season coming very soon. Keep your eyes open on my community posts page. I will tell you the exact date that my very first Christmas video is coming. I will see you all then. Thank you all for absolutely everything. Remember, for the UVDTF, hit up Amanda Towgood, and I will see you all next time for Christmas. Jingle bells.